Hi everyone, I'm Ashley Legg and welcome to the free 30-day challenge to creating healthy habits to elevate your life. We have talked about so many positive things, from creating your sense of routine to add that sense of normalcy right now during COVID-19, to eating right, to prioritizing movement, to practicing self-care, all these positive habits that you can take with you when this quarantine and self-isolation is over. And today's a very special day. It's day 24 out of 30, and I love having guests. And Malorie is here, and she is a powerful speaker and a transformation coach. She has a podcast, which I've been a guest on, the Avaline Collective. And you are just so inspiring, and I wanted to invite you here to talk about manifesting 2020, which seems counterintuitive right now given the circumstances. But I would love to hear from you on your thoughts of what's happening in the world and how we can still be a dreamer during this time.
Yes. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on to talk to your audience and the people that follow you so closely. And I love everything that you do and everything you're about to, because it's about giving people real tools. It's not just, oh, let me motivate you and let me inspire you or Fitspo or whatever. It's here's some real knowledge. Here are some real tools to put in your toolbox of how you can improve your life, how you can eat healthier, how you can continue to move your body. And so I just love everything you stand for. So thank you for having me on to talk to everybody. Man, what a wild time, what a wild time for everybody. And I even read something this morning that was saying, for some people right now, this time is like, oh, great. I get a break. I get more time at home with my kids. I get to pause. And so it's almost like a vacation without the travel. But for other people, this is a really devastating time. People are losing their jobs. Their entire lives are flipped upside down. So people are being affected by this in very, very different ways. And so something that I've really been able to help people through with my clients and really helping them stay focused is remembering why you started. Why did you start what you started? What inspired you to make that decision in the first place? Because you've got to get back to that. For so many of us, when we have too much time on our hands, that's when the self-sabotage starts. For so many of us, we pack our daily lives with these like busy schedules and obligations and community service and whatever it is that we fill our lives with. Well, when all of those things that keep us occupied and busy and focused are gone, that's when people start overeating, they start drinking too much alcohol, they start neglecting movement, and they really get in a worse position because they've got too much time on their hands. And so that's one of the things that I've heard you talk about, even just now and other times too, is really structuring your day. So I'm not saying if you are furloughed or you've lost your job or you're home to make yourself this crazy schedule to keep up with. I'm not saying that. I'm being really lenient with myself right now. I'm giving myself a lot of grace, but I'm still setting an alarm in the morning. I'm still making sure that I'm waking up between 6:30 and 7, which is not too far. Usually it's 6, so I'm letting myself sleep like a little more. But I have 3 children, and so I like my time to read and to journal and to start my day intentionally. And so I'm still doing those things. I'm still making appointments like today, like having something on my calendar to look forward to, something that you're going to do. So even if it's a Zoom call with friends. So there's lots of things that we can do with our schedules. And so I would tell people, set yourself a good morning routine that starts your day out right. Because I know if I work out in the morning, I'm going to be on track the rest of the day. I'm going to make better food choices.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be grazing on things that are unhealthy. And so it sets the tone for my day. And then at the end of the day, giving yourself some kind of kind routine in the evening, whether it's reading a book you've really been wanting to read, maybe it's journaling, maybe it's, a yoga, maybe it's breath work, maybe it's a warm bath. It's different for everybody. But I think having a morning routine and an evening routine and some goals set in your calendar are going to help people stay on track right now instead of really falling into self-sabotage.
I love that because I remember the first week of quarantine, like you mentioned, it was kind of exciting. I was like, a little happy I didn't have so many commitments, but then I started to realize, wait a minute, this is long term. I need
Yeah.
to have some structure because that's what's going to help me get up in the morning and not be so anxious over what's happening in our world, and that I can still chase dreams and help people and put inspiration out there and let everyone know that we're not alone. We're in this together. And so I love that like sense of comfort. And I also agree with you that we need to give ourselves some leniency or some grace or some slack because this is all new for all of us. So
Yeah.
even though you may have something super regimented and structured for the day, if you don't hit it, that's okay. Push it to the next day. Or if you wake up and you need a mental health day and that means maybe spending a little more time on the couch than you normally do, take it because these
Yeah.
feelings come in waves. And that's just been, you know, something that I've had to like actually recognize about myself as well. Even though I'm an extrovert, I have these introvert moments.
Yeah.
And so I'm like appreciating those. Okay, so let's talk about, you know, planning the rest of our year for what we want to achieve. It's so hard to do right now when there's so much unknown. So
Yeah.
how would you encourage people to still, you know, plan out their goals, to dream big, to not give up on this year, to not call 2020 a wash? How
Yeah.
would you encourage people to stay motivated?
So I love this because I'm actually talking through these very things with my clients. So I've hosted a dozen women's events now over the last 2 years. And so, but I've also been, and those are just my own events, but I've also been in the industry of hosting events and gatherings and fundraisers and fashion shows for 13 years now. And so I actually coach people through hosting their events. And so this is something that I'm actually working on with my big visionary people that I help in life, you know, and they just like me, because I had to push back a retreat. I had to kind of pump the brakes on some really big plans for my conference. And so I've had to kind of like re-navigate and go through, okay, what is it going to look like the rest of the year? Well, we don't know as far as a timeline goes. We don't know what the restrictions are going to be around big gatherings, if they're going to put a limitation on it. So we can't live in the sector of what if. One of my coaches, I love how she describes it. She talks about it like in a house, right? She's like, what you need to do is like be in the living room, in the heart of the present moment of what's going on. You can't be living in the side room of all the what ifs, and you can't be living in the future room of, well, if this, then this, if this, then this, because all it does is create confusion. So what you can do is focus on what you can control. You can control maybe who you want your partners to be. Maybe you're an influencer. Maybe you need to be reaching out to different brands right now. That's something you can be doing. Maybe you have a product or a service or something that you offer. You can still be making that Hot 100 list of people that you want to reach out to. You can still do that. You can still be designing what you want your event to look like. You can still be getting things in order for an inspiration board. Maybe start yourself a new Pinterest board on something that relates to your specific goal. So there is things that we can do to focus on what our dream relates to. Just because we don't have the timeline in which it's supposed to happen, all of this that's happening right now has put so much into perspective for me when it comes to control, right? Because we all think that we have our lives under complete control. We all think we do, but control is an illusion, you guys. Like, most of us got the rug ripped out from under us. So the very things we thought we were able to control are now gone. They literally don't exist for a lot of us. And so control is just an illusion. You can only control what you actually can control in your life, which is your thoughts, your mood, your reactions, the things that inspire you. And so there are things that you can be doing on the daily to still plan for your future, but take this time too to really recognize what in your life was actually a distraction and what you don't want to be in your life anymore on the other side of this. Because we're all obligated to things, right? A lot of us, I always say, like, I'm a recovered people pleaser because I've learned not to be a people pleaser anymore. but a lot of people are still in that. And so maybe try looking at this time as really a gift of, okay, what do I not want to be in my life on the other side of this? What could I take away that was a prior commitment before that I'm not going to be committed to anymore, that's going to free up more space for me to work on my dream?
That is so great. I agree with everything that you've said. And I actually just talked recently about writing a list down of the habits that you have gained in quarantine that you want to take with you when this is over. And something as simple, my husband and I were talking about, was having dinner together. We didn't do that all the time because sometimes I want to be home till 8, or I'd be too tired, or I just want to watch TV and eat on the couch. But now that we're actually having structured meals, it's like, this is so nice. And this is what I need to make time for, because this is what matters. And then another thing too, sometimes I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off, saying yes, yes, yes to so many things. And then all of a sudden my day is just jam-packed minute to minute. And I've been enjoying this time where I actually can get into my creative space, can spend more time setting myself up for success rather than just going through the motions every day and stuck in like a managerial phase. And I think that's so important too. Like I think this is a good reminder for some people that we need to slow down a little because life is passing us by.
Yeah. And I love that you touched on creativity and that you have this space for creativity, because as a really creative person, it's probably one of the things I hear the most from people. Well, I'm just not creative. I'm just not creative. I'm like, no, you're overcommitted. You have no space for your own thoughts to come forward because you're so committed to everything else for everyone, and even overcommitting things of yourself. And so when there's so much noise, right? Like there's just noise all the time. We are connected by smartphones, by social media, television, obligations at work, friends, things we say yes to in the community. And so we're always occupied. There's always noise going on. And right now we're stripped of the very things that we allow to define us. And so when you open up all this space and you have more quiet, your own thoughts can come forward. Your own creativity is spurred when there's not like, oh, bye, honey, gotta go, gotta get to the next thing. Oh, bye, next thing, I gotta get to the next thing. And so when we're so overcommitted, we don't have time for our own life force to come out of us. And that's been the most beautiful thing about this for me and for people that I work with one-on-one, is they're saying, Malorie, I'm getting all these ideas because I'm at home more, or I'm listening to music more. And so I would tell people, use this time. Like you said, you're eating dinner with your husband. Same. I'm like, whoa, hold on. All my children are here at one time eating. This is weird. This is wild. But I did tell my husband, just like on a light note, we were laying there the other night and it was like, I'm glad I really picked someone that I enjoy talking to.
Oh my gosh, yes.
We're home together all the time. And I'm like, I actually really like you. I don't just love you. Like, I really like being around you. And so
like we vibe, yes.
Yeah. So it's been nice, recognizing what are you creating in your life right now, or what are you getting to do because you have more time, that you're like, this is going to stay after quarantine. I'm going to keep this thing. I like this new habit I've created.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Okay, so let's talk about what you're working on right now, because personally, I believe, even in quarantine, that I can never be without a business coach and I can never be without a health coach. And so even though that's what I am myself, like I love having accountability from someone that I respect, someone that I know has a true passion for what they're doing. So I know there's a need out there for people who need transformation coaching. So how can people get a hold of you, and what are you offering right now?
Yes. So that's literally my focus right now, because it's a way that I can connect with people one-on-one. And so I do a lot of accountability. I coach a lot of women through events, hosting their own events, hosting their first events, how to make it a successful event. We go over everything from picking your venue to aligning with the right sponsors to negotiating contracts. I mean, we really dive in. So I do some of that as well as transformational coaching. And so I do a lot of mindset coaching and a lot of spiritual coaching. And I, just like you, I have a couple of coaches. I have a spiritual teacher because I'm really on this like deep spiritual journey right now and just discovering more about myself. And then I have a business coach as well that I'm in that's a more group coaching setting. So I do one-on-one and group. And so that's been something for me too, that even though I'm a coach, I, like you, have people that I look to, because I don't think that you ever get to a point where you don't need somebody. I think who you need changes as you change and grow. And so that's what I'm working on currently. I am hosting a retreat. Who knows when the date is gonna be. It was gonna be at the end of June, but I just don't know how open things are gonna be then. But I'm hosting 20 women in a private, luxurious retreat. And it's really going to be a 3-night, 4-day journey of discovering who you are in a non-judgmental space. It's called the Naked Collective. And so it's all about getting naked, not physically, people, where I'm not going to like strip you down, but it's all about getting naked and really shedding the beliefs and the programming that society has put on us our entire lives and taught us what to believe, and really helping women understand that you are not the sum of the things in your life, not the titles, not the choices, not the mistakes, that you quite literally are who you want to create yourself to be, and that really starts with belief in yourself. So I do a lot of coaching with women on stripping past beliefs and really stepping into the beliefs that are going to support the higher version of yourself.
I have goosebumps because I know that you're so good at this, because just like me, like we connect on that sense of vulnerability and digging deep and like being your authentic self and just not having to be something for someone else. It's all about you, your mindset, what you want to achieve. So, oh my gosh, I love that. Okay, so tell us your website and where people can contact you.
Yes, so it's MalorieAvaline.com, and it's just, I can type it in the comments, but it's MalorieAvaline.com. Everything's there. My podcast is linked there. I communicate all the time here on Instagram too. I'm on Facebook. I'm not on Facebook as much, but I am there. And so I kind of just connect with people anywhere, but my website is the place where you can find my podcast and my programs and inquire about coaching and all those good things.
Perfect. Well, I'll make sure to share that all with my community. And before we leave, how's it going in Oklahoma? I just love the fact that that's where our relationship started, and Oklahoma's such like a soft spot.
It's really unique. You know, we were one of the later states to shut down. And you were here. It's not as dense of a population here. And so our city areas aren't like super overpopulated. So they were kind of slow to shut things down here. We have been shut down for a little over 3 weeks now. And so it's been interesting. Just like I think for everybody, our governor came on yesterday, and there's talks of certain things opening as early as April 24th, but that's not like a final say yet. And so I'm not banking on anything. And again, for me, that's just been a lesson of relinquishing control, or my idea of control. And so my thought has really been, hey, if it opens today, or if it opens 3 weeks from now or 6 weeks from now, I want to make sure that I'm taking care of myself and creating the habits that are going to be sustainable, that are going to help me on the other side of this. And so it's going well. I'll say that our hospitals here are really slow. I have one of my very best friends works in one of the ERs here, and she said that they've already seen a complete slowdown. They're not testing near as much. Good. And that the hospitals are actually kind of quiet. And so she said it's a good sign. You know, they prepared for the worst but expected the best. And she said they're glad that they did it that way, because they were prepared to take on a lot more patients, but they've not had to. She said it's been pretty quiet. So that's a good sign. And we've been praying for her daily, because she's been directly exposed to COVID several times. And so it's been hard, not to see one of your best friends in person. And she has a 5-year-old son and a husband at home. And she's like, I feel guilty every day that I come home, but she's tested several times and she's not ever had a positive test. And so she's doing well. And it seems like the state's moving along and they're open to the idea of things opening up sooner if it's a more controlled environment. So I think office spaces that are less than, you know, a certain number of people, there'll be a threshold, but seems like things are progressing, which is good. So how are things where you're at? I know you're closer to a lot of the chaos.
Yeah, it's definitely intense here, especially being super close to New York City. We just haven't hit the peak yet. And so we're just praying that people are just abiding by the self-isolation, which thank gosh there are. And we have a doctor in the family too. My sister-in-law, so my husband's sister, she's on the front lines and she's really keeping us in the loop. But it's pretty much major lockdown right now, and even like when we're out walking we have to wear masks, and it's pretty intense, but hopefully everything is going to lighten up for the whole nation and world for that matter.
Yeah. And I kind of just want to say one last thing to people. This is, and I'm sure people realize this, but this will go down in history. Like we are literally living an experience of history right now. And in, 15, 20 years, you're going to be able to look back and say, I let that thing in time control me and manipulate me and put me in a place of fear. Or you're going to be able to look back and say, you know what, that was a really hard time for our country, but it was a time I used to gain perspective in my life. And so I'm not saying like, have some big epiphany, write a book and put it out next week, or that you failed if you didn't. But if you can carry over letting fear control you, because I know that's a big one that I'm seeing for a lot of people right now. They're just so afraid. I mean, I talk to my neighbors and they're afraid. And they're like, why are you not afraid, Malorie? And I don't live in a place of fear because there's no reason to fear what I can't control. And so I just have to be in a place of what I can control. And so I just want to kind of encourage everybody to live with perspective right now and to really just look at this time as a time in history that you can pivot your way of thinking more than anything.
Control what you can when there's so much that you can't. I love that. And I totally believe in that too. And I appreciate your time today. It was so insightful. You inspire me all the time.
Thanks, girl.
I'm so excited for my viewers to see more about you and learn more about you and what you offer. So thank you so much.
Thank you, darling.
And I miss you. I'm so glad I got to see your face.
Virtual hugs. Your day. Yes. Hugs.
Okay. I'll talk to you soon.
All
Bye.
Right, bye, girl. Bye, everybody.